I'm doing it. I'm going to Sam Okuayinonu corner.
Wonderful.
I'm not saying this is going to fundamentally change the game, but we mentioned Okuayinonu before,
Yes.
right? Like
Last couple of weeks, we've been very
it was like
impressed.
the Patriots game was like his breakout, right? And he was really impressive, and he forced that fumble.
Mhm.
And he's looked great. I did some digging just like on advanced stats, just to see where some guys are, and it's like a very small sample size. You know, Okuanu only has about 53 uh, pass rush plays, and he hasn't been out there all that much. He's only been in run defense a few times, but he's in this play. He's over. He gets they put Pharaoh Brown on him on the right side, and he just collapses that right side
Yeah.
just easily. And this is in the run game.
Straight bull rush.
Right. And this is in the run game. And so the thing about him is like he's so stout. I think they have a situation where, we talked to Nick Bosa a couple weeks ago, and Bosa was sort of talking about some of the guys that didn't get it. I think you talked to him. Some of the
I
guys
did,
that
yeah.
didn't get it, some of the guys that did get it. And he mentioned Charles Omenihu, a guy
Mhm.
who went to Kansas City and who like really was a massive, massive player for them. It didn't show up a lot every game, but like his pressure rates were like top 15 in the league consistently. This is Okuano again against the Patriots, which shouldn't really count because the
Well,
Patriots offense.
but again, their tackles are as bad as Kansas City's.
It's true. It's true. And this is him just
Mm,
easy swipe move with the hands, gets
yeah.
right to Brissett. He beat Lenore on that one. But Okuanu, I was watching the tape. I watched every single snap Okuanu has had last year.
Yeah.
Thanks, NFL Pro, for fixing your system.
Big ups.
Um, Okuanu currently is 18th in the league in pressure rate. He's 39th in win rate, which is like so pressures. Sometimes you get pressures just from play going on too long.
Mhm.
We'll see how that bears out. It's not as great in true pass sets, but in true pass sets, he's like been productive. He's been really productive game in and game out in pass rush. That's just like 18th in pressure rate. Take that. Run defense. He's got the 11th best run defense grade in the league. He's got the third best stop percentage in the league at 14.3%. And his average tackle depth on run plays is a half a yard behind the line of scrimmage. So
Mm.
he's just doing it all. And you watch him on tape, and he's setting the edge in a way that 49ers have not been able to do. Um, and I think that's something that's really worth noting. He's got a power rush that sets it up, and then he's got a counter that he just stole explicitly from Nick Bosa with a swipe move. Like I
Yeah.
asked him about it, and he was like giggling. He's like, "Yeah, basically ripped that off from Bosa." And he's like getting advice from Bosa week in and week out, and he's a guy
As
that
well you
has like
should.
really good athleticism, but because he was like a JUCO guy who didn't produce that well at Maryland, and then he was undrafted, 49ers sort of snuck him through, and we saw flashes in training camp. Like this guy's a player. This guy's actually a player. We'll see how he develops throughout the year, but I think they might have a real guy here that can fundamentally help them, especially with Yetur Gross Matos comes back. They've got like an edge player there that can play in both ways, and that's really important, and they got him for free.
You mentioned Amenahu. He is 8 months post-op on his knee. I think as of today.
Yep.
They're coming off a bye. I don't think he'll play. I'm not certain he won't, though. I'm not, and that's a huge deal for the Chiefs if he is able to just give some snaps because of all the reasons you said, all the reasons that we know from having watched him. They have not replaced him, full stop, in years, and
Yep.
maybe Sam O is the replacement. He has not gotten the reps yet that give you the indication that they're all the
Right.
way in. And
These are like 90 snaps.
there's some miss, but the hit is really good, and he sets the edge consistently. Not perfectly. Seattle, he had a couple of lapses, but before that, he was 2 for 2 on perfect games for setting the edge, at least by my eyes.
He
And
just he doesn't get washed out. You see so many times over these last few years where you've just had a 49ers defensive end who's just he either like tries to jump inside and then they out leverage him and he gets cleared out. Okuanu, I saw multiple times where he would set the edge and he changed where Kenneth Walker had to go because
yes,
he would if he was going to try and bounce it outside, Okuayinonu would flash that way because he had the left tackle or the tight end right in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, there's something to that guy, and it wasn't just that one flash in the pan against the Patriots. And he plays with swagger. Like
Yes.
I know that like shouldn't really matter, but for a guy who was like a practice squad guy, undrafted, like he's like sort of pump faking at the line, like sort of a la Myles Garrett. He
Mm-hmm.
just looks like a guy who's really confident in himself.
That's the right word, right? You can't play with swagger unless you're confident in yourself. And the only way to pull off a random spin move that you haven't tried yet in a game, and we've never really even seen you practice, is to feel like you have something on the other team. To feel like, hey, I'm winning. I'm winning consistently. Let's get weird. I have some leverage and leeway to try something new here. And by the way, I'll still be sound. Right? There's guys who go out there and are just Jordan Poole in it, right? It's like, you don't have the basics down, my man. You can't be trying all this shit. He's got the basics down, and they can always pull back to that.